From the very first time I heard the word Enkrateia, Enkrateia, I really hope I'm pronouncing this word well. I have practiced it over and again. But yes, the word is Enkrateia. It's a Greek word and it means self-control. The literal meaning is to hold yourself in. The very first time I heard the word, I knew it was going to be my power bank. The word Enkrateia, to hold yourself in. And I want us to talk about this word today as we continue our discussion from last week about what to do when you're experiencing those D's of life that we discussed. If you were here last week, you recall that we discussed some D's that could happen to anybody at any time in life. And some of them are distress, despair, discouragement, dissatisfaction, depression. There are several other D's, but we spoke about these ones. And we said that the one thing to do to manage these D's is first to handle them with discretion. We said we're going to continue this conversation today. So here we are again today. If this is your first time, welcome. We're glad to have you here and thanks for stopping by. On this channel, we study, we discuss, and we add knowledge so that we may know more and be more. So let's get to it. Enkrateia, the Greek word that means self-control in English. You know the thing about self-control? It's one virtue that whenever you put it to work, I'm intentionally using that term, put it to work. Whenever you put it to work, your future self will thank you. You look back seconds later, or minutes later, or hours later, or days later, or weeks later, or months later, or years later, and say, thank God I didn't. Or thank God I did. Your future self will always thank you whenever you exercise self-control. It's a virtue that you never go wrong when you use it. You never go wrong. I'm using the word never. You never go wrong for exercising self-control. In this world, with all its stimulations. You hear me? Stimulations. There are stimulations everywhere. Before you wake up in the morning, or by the time you're opening up your eyes in the morning, stimulations are waiting. You're stimulated. There's always a reason to stir you, to react, to respond, to act, to do. Sometimes all you need to weather that storm or to shut that word from coming or to react to that wrongdoing or to act towards that person or that situation is just a little bit, hear me, a little bit of self-control. Just hold yourself in. Hold yourself in. Exhale. Your future self will always thank you. Every time I think about Enkrateia these days, I remember a movie I watched. It's a Nigerian movie. It was a blockbuster of some sort. It was a really big movie. And in that movie, the girl was asked if she had told her brother that her boyfriend's brother was dead. So here's the thing. The boyfriend's brother died, unfortunately, or rather unplanned, when they went to rob a store to help their mother who had a kidney problem. And they were managing that information because if that information got out, the robbery would be traced back to them. There were 5 brothers and they were kind of notorious. They were not bad kids per se, but they were poor. They were, pushed to do the things that poverty causes people to do when they don't know what else to do. So one was a thief, the other one was a gangster. The only two that were kind of level-headed, worked in a store. That was where they robbed. Anyway, long story short, they were managing this information, and their last brother had this girlfriend who was they were so in love with each other. They were always with each other. So on this day, after the brother died, she went to the house and they were just thinking of what to do. And then she was asked about whether she had told her family or her brother about the death of her boyfriend's brother. And then they said to her that they hope she hasn't told anybody because they are managing the information because of what could happen if the information was leaked. You needed to see this cry. Oh, dear Lord. She acted this so good. She cried and in the process she was hiccuping. Then she now said, thank God. I didn't say anything. She said she nearly, but she just couldn't talk. That she was just crying instead and crying uncontrollably. But she just couldn't talk. She wanted to, but she couldn't. She just held herself. She was broken. She couldn't talk, but she also just don't know why she couldn't talk. She exercised Enkrateia at that point. She couldn't talk. And that was what saved the day because she closed her mouth. That was what saved the day. Your future self will always thank you for exercising Enkrateia. Here's what I want to say to you. You may be so tempted, so scared, so provoked, so poked, so incited, so provocated to make that move sometimes. To go on that podcast and give your whole life story. Or to tell that person how you feel and give them 7 pieces of your mind. Or to take that thing that would implicate you if it's found out. You might be tempted to indulge in that inordinate thing, whatever. There are several temptations all around us. Provocations, enticements, several things. But your future self will always thank you for exercising Enkrateia. That is one virtue that is most required in human relations. If you are in this world relating with people on any level, the virtue that you must always keep front and center is self-control. Whether you are in a relationship with your spouse, with your parents, with your children, with your co-workers, with your friends, acquaintances, well-wishers, Enkrateia, even with yourself. When you exercise, when you delay gratification sometimes, when you restrain from an activity, when you put your flesh under, put your appetites under, put your aggressions under, you are exercising Enkrateia. The person in midlife, more than anyone else, should be the one exercising this. Because I mean, if you're trying to navigate your way to a place where you thought you should have been, but you have not been, and you've been able to wait or go through all the, or will I say, shame and underestimation and all those things that go with delays and losses and failures. If you've been able to go through all of that, why now? Why should you give in to the impulses and the stimulations around you that want to derail you, deviate you from your course? Why? Enkrateia, a little self-control is all you need. Just before you say that word, just before you make that move, just before you react, just before you respond, take a minute or two. In fact, a minute is so much. Just take a few seconds. Like Mel Robbins talked about her 5-second rule. Just count 5 backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale before you do it. As we all know, a lot of things are easier said than done. One practical way to help is to sleep on matters. Sleep on it. My husband used to do that and I eventually realized how powerful it is. He would tell you, let me sleep on it. Even if you want to respond to a message that provoked you, maybe a text message, sleep on it. There's no hurry. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. If it's a call and it's getting heated, I'm going to end this call now. I'll call you back. Please end the call. Sleep on it. If it's a situation that you cannot sleep on, just take a few minutes. Step outside. Take a walk. Engage your mind in another way. Think about it again. By the time you get back to that situation, it may just be that what you wanted to do may not be necessary anymore. That thing you wanted to say, that move you wanted to make may be unnecessary. Think on it. I used to be that person who sometimes when I get hurt or I get, frustrated or angry, my heart will be boiling. And because I'm not a confrontational person, my heart will be boiling. I just want to do something. And I express myself very well in writing. Instead I'm texting or I'm writing. I just want to. But now, just exhale. Exhale. Enkrateia. It's needed. If the guy had a little guidance on the power of self-control, or just exercised it a little bit, maybe spoke to somebody, got distracted by some other activities, or just sat with himself a little to process all the hurts, the pain, the disappointment, just a little bit, maybe that visit to the podcast would not have been necessary. And even if he wanted to still go, he would have gone when his head had cleared. My message to you today is that after all is said and done, a little self-control is what you need. It will always save the day. And your future self will thank you for resisting the urge to give in to whatever temptation, provocation, incitement, whatever it is. Your future self will always thank you. You will look back and say, thank God I held myself back. We will continue this conversation again in our next video. We're still talking about how to show up in life when we're faced with all these D's that are unfavorable. What is the more excellent way to be? Because here we choose to know more so that we may be more. Share this video with someone that would need it. And return again, same time next time as we continue the discussion. Adios.